There we go. Oh, we got it now. Dude, that was some stressful stuff. It said Facebook was overwhelmed and it had to create new streams. So, man, it's Thursday. Here we go.
Live with Phil. Thursday evenings at 8.
Well, what is up, guys? It's Thursday, 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching. We had a little technical difficulty here in the beginning. So go ahead, hit that like, share button, and interact with us in the chat. It really helps out. So tonight's guest and I, we've been friends since middle school. After high school, he moved up to New York, pursuing a career in comedy. I'm proud to say he's now a full-time comic, performing regularly in clubs around the city and all around the country. He was a finalist in the New York Comedy Festival. He competed in the New York Comedy Festival, was in the New York Comedy Club competition, and in the SLO Comedy Festival. Let's welcome Tayler Yarish.
What's up? You rocked that intro.
Dude, I was heart pounding. We're what, 4 minutes late, and I was.
You had it nice in the rehearsal, and then the live, I think, messed with you.
Dude, you do all this preparation, and then the technology still gets it.
Sure, yeah. In the end, it always screws you.
Thanks for having me. Not even sure if I'm on Instagram now or not live.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Dude, It's not that big of a deal.
Chat, put it in the chat if you're on the gram or whatever.
Yeah, if you're wherever you're watching, let us know, because we did have some technical difficulties coming into this. So let us know if you're on Facebook or YouTube or wherever. Let me click comments and they should pop up here. We got Darius. What's up, Darius? Facebook from Alaska.
Hello, Phil.
Good afternoon, brother. All right, let me add it over here to YouTube live with Yarish.
The YouTubes.
Very nice. Public. What you been up to, man? Any shows lately?
Yeah. I mean, I have a show roughly every night. Almost every night I do stand up.
Damn.
Yeah. That's always the reaction, but it's really when it's the only thing you do and you realize it's like 20 minutes of my time. Like it's really not. It's embarrassingly a small part of my day, but that's just the performing part. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it, obviously.
So you're gonna be on stage for how long's a set if you're doing a stand-up set?
It depends. In the city, they're typically shorter. They're like 10-15 minutes. There's only like one or two clubs maybe that'll give you 20 minutes, but typically, like when I'm at New York Comedy Club, it's 15. And then most other places it's like 10 to 12. Any bar show or something, it's 10 to 12, which is not a lot of time. Actually, it goes pretty quickly.
Do you do you change it for different venues? So say you're going, you got 10 minutes at whatever the venue is that you do, and then you got 10 minutes at a different venue. Are you doing the same type of set, or are you going to change vibe? Because
it depends. Because if I'm working on a specific joke, I will do that specific joke, and then I try not to like cater what I'm doing to the room, but I will know typically what works in different. Like Manhattan is very different than Brooklyn. Brooklyn's very like about a lot of things, and so there's a club that I do a lot. That's actually near where I live, called the Tiny Cupboard, and they're like an independent club. They kind of came out of COVID, but typically they attract a lot of Brooklynites, a lot of like younger, very opinionated, to use the W word, woke people. So typically I will do the material that I think they really won't like.
Really? I'll get them one.
Yeah, well, I work on that material there because if I can get them to like it, it'll work anywhere. So I will do, whatever joke where I'm like, there's no way they're going to like this. If I can get them, and a lot of times they don't. I'm correct in my assessment. But But it's figuring it out. Like sometimes there's jokes that I have that, if I tried to open with it, they don't know me yet, they don't like me yet. Yeah, they're gonna hate it. But if I couch it 9 minutes into a set when they've been laughing and they see I'm not a terrible person, and then I do the joke about, cat abortion or whatever, then they might go with me. That's a real joke I have.
All right. So how about crafting a joke, man? There's a lot goes into this, I'm sure. I've known you, back in middle school and then doing some of the high school plays. You're a funny guy.
Yeah.
You're a funny guy. You're a clown.
Funny how?
You're funny how? How the fuck am I funny?
That painting's from Goodfellas right there.
Hey,
That's
right next to your
painting.
right ear.
Yeah, buddy.
What you get an idea of a joke. How many of your ideas are just random, or are they, dude, I was on the subway and the fucking craziest thing happened, I can make a joke about it?
Yeah, I mean, some stuff you get lucky and it just falls out and it's immediately funny. Most things are not that. I think the difference between like what a stand-up does and what everyone else does, everyone has like, oh, that was really funny. And then comics able to like take that and then put it into joke stand-up structure and then bring it on stage. But sometimes I had to learn how to write, actually, because I was just good. Like I was just like being a funny guy on stage, but there was no kind of direction or structure to it. Like I'm just telling stories in a funny way, or I'm just telling it like something funny just happened and I walked into a bar and I'm telling my buddy now. Like that's how I would do everything on stage originally. But there's a lot of technicality and like structure that goes into stand-up that I actually had to learn. Like I read books on it. I studied people who I thought were really good at joke structure. And it's a much more, as I learned over the last 8 years, much more complicated art form than I gave it credit for. So I will typically just start with the idea and I will just free write on it. I'll just like type it out. No pressure to be funny about it. Just kind of get my thoughts out, because I find just like when you're I'm just going to assume, by the way, everybody that might be listening to this has no writing experience, no comedy experience whatsoever. Because I know if there was a comic listening, they'd be like, "Oh, shut the fuck up, you douche." But but like when you write something out, writing it out makes you think about it. It makes you, when you're writing, you're thinking. So sometimes I don't even know what I think about a thing. I'm just kind of free writing off the top of the head. And then out of that, sometimes a nugget of something comes out and I have enough, and then I edit that down, and then I have enough where I'm like, I could take this on stage and talk about it. And then you just do that. You get feedback from the audience, okay, that part was funny. Let's work with that. Let's try to make this clearer. And you just go up and fail 1,000 times until you just whittle it down. And most times, the way the joke started is not how it ended up at all, which is the hardest part about working on stuff that is quote unquote edgy or offensive, because when you first say it on stage, it sounds horrible because it's not funny. It's not funny at all.
Some of it is so funny.
You gotta,
like
you gotta make it. What?
Like off the wall stuff that like 3 people will laugh at.
Yeah, or just like, yeah, they don't know, and you don't even know like kind of where you're trying to go with it. But there's that thing in me that's like, I think this is funny. I just have to, and this is where this is where the separation of like the levels of comedian, I think, happens, because everyone starts out as an open micer, right? You pay $5, you get 5 minutes, and there's zero barrier. Yeah.
I got a question about how it all starts.
Yeah. So open mics, you pay $5, you get 5 minutes on stage. In New York, open mics, they're typically only comedians that are there. Other parts of the country, you go and do an open mic. People go to watch an open mic. It blows my mind every time I do one on the road.
But
But
like music, right?
yeah,
all
people just be like, "Oh, we'll watch the comedy open mic." Like I've I've done shows on the road with people where the open mic that followed the show had more people
Then the
than
show.
than were at our show. Yeah, and that'll make you feel like real piece of shit. But yeah, so when you start as an open micer, anybody can start, and there's people that are trying to do it seriously, and you kind of see who those people are. And then there's a lot of people who are just mentally ill, and they stay there because they never understand that the whole goal of this is
Next
for
step.
a normal person in society to find this funny. Because a lot of people get trapped in an open mic scene doing jokes just to comedians. And the only thing that makes comedians laugh is the most effed up, benign shit possible. So they're saying the worst thing they could think. And then they do a bar show in front of people and they're horrified and they don't understand why. So it's figuring out how to make this either palatable or bridge that gap between like, how can I get these normal people to see what I see? Because they don't know you, they weren't there, whatever the thing was. So it's just about, and the only way
you
to
have to
find
build
that,
a quick relationship.
yeah,
Quick.
and the
connection.
and the only way to realize what works and what doesn't for them is to go up and do it in front of them over and over and over and over and over again. That's why comics do it every night. You have to.
Who have been some of, you said you read books and really watched and studied some of the greats growing up. Was that a cat? You have a cat?
No. What?
Oh.
What are you saying? I hope not.
No, I thought I heard him.
Oh no, that's just New York City, baby. That's some horn. Dude, like literally like
No, that's
twice
just
a
my
day.
neighbor.
Twice a day, like, so people have to do alternate side parking here, and so everybody just double parks where the street sweeper comes through, and then while that's happening, like an Amazon truck tries to squeeze through and they can't, and so they will just lean on the horn until somebody moves their car. Like it happens twice a day. Somebody will just lean on a horn outside my window.
They'll just like kneel, like
just
elbow on it and play on their phone.
Just until somebody comes out of their house and moves their car. Anyway.
Or the horn.
Yeah.
The horn's gonna die one day.
I'm sorry. What was your question?
Now, some of your idols or some of the people that helped influence you and shape your style. Or that you really watched.
Yeah, I mean the first two comics that I ever remember seeing like a video of them and thinking they were hysterical were Jim Gaffigan and Dane Cook. That was just the era that I grew up sort of. And then I took to Dane Cook. He was very animated. I don't think he gets his credit personally for how good he was. Those were the first two. And then it was just a giant mixed bag. Then probably Bill Burr was probably, especially in the early years when I started doing stand-up, I liked him. It was almost a problem because it was influencing my comedy a lot. Because when you start out, you don't even know what your voice is. You don't know how you are on stage. So you just literally everybody does it. You just kind of emulate who you like. And so I was basically just doing a bad Bill Burr impression. It doesn't help that I look like him. You know what I mean? Like feature wise, it doesn't help at all. Like I used to get that all the time. Like, oh, you kind of remind me of like a Bill Burr. And I'm like, God damn it. So I had to like fight that. I had to like not watch him for a while.
Murr off of Impractical Jokers. You ever get that one?
I don't.
You don't get that one?
You mean for like my looks or for
your looks?
No, I've never got Murr off of it's just a bald guy.
It's just a bald thing, yeah.
Yeah.
The Mr. Clean guy,
One time I got a comment on a TikTok that a guy said I looked like Johnny Sins, and I'm like,
I'll take over. No,
I was like, if I was Johnny Sins, I would not be doing this. Yeah,
that's funny.
but yeah, man. And so Burr was a big one. Louis was a big one, and then you just get exposed, especially living here. Like, it's the best part is I get to just see a lot of times just the great comics. Like I said, I was talking to you on the phone the other night. I was on a show with Ronnie Chang and Dave Attell on the same show, and getting to watch those guys work. It's like literally a masterclass. So in that case, I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And like you see some of these jokes, we'll see them on social media. All right, so anyone listening, I send Taylor shit all the time on Instagram, and he'll be like, "Oh, I know that guy. Oh, I heard that joke last year when he was just starting it out." And it's like, so a joke takes a while to get hilarious and viral almost and popular. And my dad says, "Hey, Taylor."
Hey, what's up?
Mom's.
Oh yeah, I saw her in there.
Yeah, so it takes a while for a joke to get like that.
Spirit Radio, what it do? What's
Bass
up?
and Beer, dude, they're fun. They're a fun guy. They go live tomorrow night. Bass and Beer, if I don't even know if y'all are still watching. If you're still watching, are you guys doing the Ike Foundation tournament on June 1st? Let me know in the chat.
Guess we'll hear back.
Yeah, I guess we'll hear back. If not, I'll ask again later when they chime back in.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a YouTube comment. Nope, that's a reel. All right. What is the difference between heckling and crowd work? Because I'm trying to figure it out. I've been to a couple of your shows. They're funny. And I like sometimes when you go in on somebody and you don't hold back. And I don't really know what the word heckle versus the word crowd work is.
So crowd work, it's a thing I do a lot when I'm hosting. So I go up and my job is to start the show, get this random group of strangers to feel like a cohesive audience. So sometimes I will go into the audience and talk to them. And that's where you get your fucking TikTok. Oh, where are you from? What do you do? And we have an exchange, but I'm starting it. I'm having the interaction. Whereas heckling is when, like, let's say I say, the easiest example, I say something that you don't like and you've had a few in you. You're like, or you just yell something out like bullshit. You're yelling it to me on stage unprompted.
Heckling is from a crowd member.
Yeah. Heckling is you're saying something at me. You're talking to me when I didn't talk to you, which
prompts
is actually what?
Prompts the crowd work then at that point.
Well, yeah, if you yell something at me,
you're going at them.
Now we're in an exchange where there's a power struggle, right? So I have to win. I have to win the exchange. Otherwise, the crowd will no longer respect me. It's because for lack of a better word, while you're the only one in the room talking, you're on stage, you have the microphone, you're the person for those 15 minutes. You're like, that's like the alpha thing, right?
Yeah.
If we're going to break it down.
Everyone's quiet. Yeah.
Yeah. You're the leader of the room right now. And so then some guy yells out it's like primordial shit. He's like, I don't agree with that. He's challenging. Exactly. So now I have to show you why I deserve to be up here and you're down there and you paid to be here. And so,
that's funny right there.
Yeah. Like, so I was doing this joke. You've heard me do this joke, and I've put it online. I don't care. I'm talking about dating apps and how girls are shallow and they want a lot out of guys. And so I start to list the qualities that a girl wants. And she starts to like, I want this guy, this guy, this guy. And the punch of the joke is she's basically describing Batman. And I go, that guy's out fighting the Joker. That's the punchline. So I was doing that joke one time and I was like, I saw this girl's profile. She was like, I want a guy who's big, strong, handsome, got a lot of money. And this girl in the back went, that ain't you. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, well, it's easy to say that when I can't see you. Why are you in the dark, bitch? Because you're ugly. And the whole crowd was like, duh! You know what I mean? And I don't know if she's ugly, but I have to call her. I've said things to people that
You mean it. Yeah.
I don't. Well, I have to win. I have to win. I've told just grown adult.
Give me another. Yeah. What's the best? The best, is that one of the top ones?
That one, that got a big reaction when you call.
I don't care about the reaction.
When you call a chick a bitch and then say she's ugly, that usually does it. And here's the thing: most of the time, if you have a bad heckler, there should be a bouncer in the room who handles this. So if you have somebody who like says one thing, you have an interaction with them, and then that's it, it's over, the show can continue. If somebody's repeatedly heckling, now you're really disrupting the show, and that's when a bouncer should come in and talk to you, because now you're ruining it for everybody else.
Have you ever had to do that?
Oh, that's happened before, where people have gotten kicked out. People have gotten, talked to multiple times. And I've warned people, I'm like, you keep talking shit, you're going to get thrown out of here. And
Has someone ever tried to fight you?
No one ever tried to. I did have a lady run up on stage one time. She was just, she was really drunk. This was like years ago. I was doing a joke. It was in a bar. It was a bar show, so there's no bouncer. I forget the joke that I was doing, but she caught my eye. She was in the back of the room, and she just kept doing this to me, like guns. And so I stopped my set. I'm like, "Are you pointing guns at me right now?" And then we start to have this interaction, and I forget what. And she was like, "I'll fucking come up there." And it's not like it wasn't a comedy club with like a stage, and she rushed the stage. It was in a place where like they have karaoke in the back. And so she just walked up on
Tower in Bel Air. Like, yeah.
She literally could just walk up. No one stopped her. And I just stood there, and we kind of just had this face off, and she was just like, just drunk as fuck. And so we were just kind of staring at each other. It was kind of tense. And then I looked at the crowd, and I was like, "Oh, you all want her to hit me? Oh, you're like waiting for something to happen." And that got a big pop. And then she got off stage. So I had to like figure out a way to diffuse it. But that wasn't even that felt less threatening than some instances.
Yeah, do you ever get in some people where they're like, "I'm gonna kill you"?
No, I mean, I don't really have stuff.
You'll read the room close enough and not heckle that guy because he looks like MS-13 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people where I don't. If somebody's like clearly like, don't talk to me. Like I've gotten vibes when I'm hosting, because I'll try to talk to certain people, and I'll get a clear vibe from a guy that's like, "Do not fucking talk to me." I'm not gonna talk to you, because it's not gonna be. You're not gonna give me anything that I can work off to make funny anyway. So I was hosting the other night, and the manager was seating people, and this guy gave him a hard time. He didn't want to sit in the front, and so they had a little back and forth, and he's like, "All right, fine, you can sit in the second row." And so the manager came up to me. He's like, "Hey, this guy was giving me a hard time. Can you talk to him on purpose?" Just because he didn't want to sit in the front row because he was afraid of getting talked to. So he thought he'd be safe in the second row. So now he's like, "Can you show him that he's not safe and just talk to him anyway?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't care." And so I went up there, talked to a few people, and I'm like, "Look at this guy." I said like two things, and I'm like, "How you doing, sir?" And he just went, "Good." And I was like, "All right, good talk." And then I just moved on, because I'm like, I'm
there's no conversation.
I'm not getting paid enough to, on purpose. Those are the moments that go viral, but you don't want that. I mean, I want it for my career. I'd love to have someone throw a beer can at me and I get on fucking Jimmy Kimmel, or whatever. But typically nobody gets too pissed. Occasionally women will push back against claims I make on stage in jokes or whatever.
What's one of your Hmm. Most most memorable. Can you talk about a dive? Like, I'm sure you have shows where you're like, dude, no one laughed. That sucked. And you'll still
You mean
go and
like
retell those jokes.
oh, you mean like that's all the
Yeah.
yeah, all the time.
It's not all the time, dude.
That's
I've seen your
usually the
shows.
first
You just
like
toured the East Coast. That's not all the time.
no, but I'm saying when I'm starting to work out a joke, it fails until I figure it out. I
Will
mean,
you give up at a certain point on it and be
not
like,
if
"It's
I
fuck
not if
this"?
I not if I believe in it enough. There's sometimes I will tuck it away for later to like kind of give it some breath and have some time away. Like so I have like notes. I have a program that I use called Scrivener, and I have different folders. I have like the jokes that work. These jokes work. And now I have another folder. It's like new jokes that I'm working on. And then I have a folder that's maybe one day. And so if I believe in an idea, but I've just attacked it from as many angles as I can currently think of at the moment, and it's just not hitting, I'll just tuck it into maybe one day because there was something in me that thought it was funny. And I believe in that instinct.
Will
That's
you share any of these and what do you guys call
yeah,
it? The
sure.
green room? Not you don't have to share with us.
Uh,
I mean, if you want to, absolutely. I'd love to hear
I
them.
mean,
But
let's see.
do you
Let's see
share
what's
it
in
with
the
an
news.
actor or will you share it with like a
Um,
another comic and be like, "Hey, what do you think
oh
about
yeah,
this?"
we do
Yeah,
that.
that's
Comics bounce bits literally all the
okay.
time. Comics write together. That's a very common thing. We don't having somebody
Oh,
like
okay.
nobody writes for me, but sometimes it's good to get a different perspective.
Like, no, dude, instead
Uh,
of dog, say llama or what is it?
right. Like
Yeah.
so, my roommate Ted Barton, very funny comic. He's very good, I believe, at like he's a good idea guy. He comes up with really good ideas. He's got good joke structure, but he's not as strong, I would say, as I am on tagging the joke. Tags are like those additional punchlines after the first one. So you set up the joke, punchline. The next line adds on to the punchline, punchline. So those are tags. I'm good at tagging a joke. So he'll throw an idea at me and I'll just start saying out if I think something's funny. I'm good at doing that for him. What he's good at for me is I'll have a thing that I think is funny, but it's the idea. I'm not communicating the idea well enough. And so he'll try to almost package it in a way that is easier to understand so that the audience can come along with the joke. Because that's what is happening most of the time is when an audience isn't laughing. It's not because they don't
Yeah.
think it's funny. It's because they don't understand what the premise is. That's pretty much it. There's
Do you find
yeah.
it easier telling jokes about your real life situations or harder because you'll skip over some of the details because you actually lived it?
It depends if it's a story of like if it's like one of those you had to be there things, that's very tough because sometimes it's just not gonna you have to do too much explanation and the payoff isn't worth it
Like
to
the
get
joke's not
to,
funny anymore, man. I can't explain it.
yeah, I mean I'll tell you a story that I tried to make into a bit and it never worked. I was at a cousin's wedding and we were on the dance floor and we were dancing and I looked down. I was like with my brother. I looked down and I saw what I was 98% sure was a vibrator. like gun to my head, this was a vibrator. And I was like, that's fucking crazy. I don't know why I picked it up. I picked it up and I clicked the little button and it started to like vibrate. I'm like, holy shit, this is a vibrator. Now I'm like, there's a 50% chance it's on my side of the family.
It's
So that's troubling. You know what I mean? So I had this vibrator and I was like, all right, I can't, what am I going to do? I can't give it to the DJ, did anybody lose? Like, yeah. We have a vibrator and
Purple? No, blue. And
yeah.
and
So
Carol.
I just put it on like a table nearby. And then I was kind of dancing, just watching it just to see if anybody, and this like middle-aged woman comes by and she sees it and she's like, oh my God. and she grabs it and she's like so elated. She's like, oh my God, oh my God. And I see her like kind of making her way to the other side, and she's like approaching this group of people, and she's like, I got it. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, all right, tone it down, lady. Like, have a little decorum about your vibrator. So I go over there, and she hands it to this old guy who's got this thing on his throat, and he puts it up to his throat, and he goes, thank you so much for finding my device. Thank you so much. It was like a larynx. It was an electronic larynx, so this guy could speak.
This is true.
This is 100% true. He's like, thank you so much. And I was like, I'm going to hell. Because this woman, those are like thousands of dollars. This woman like saved this guy's voice, and I'm over here like, what a whore.
Herbert.
Yeah, like, and so that's a funny like. And then I built in this part that wasn't true, where I approached the guy and I talked to him, and the bit goes somewhere else. But that's a joke that like it works in conversation, but on stage they're not.
There's too many clicks.
They're not coming with me on every beat, and also it's not the payoffs are not universal enough. Sometimes they're like more shock moments of like, no way, which is a reaction, which is good in a story, but it's not what you want for a stand-up bit. You want pop laughter, which that story until the end doesn't really have that. And so it just I just dropped it. And then, so it's just like a funny,
Dude, it's funny for sure.
It's like,
did you go tell them that you thought it was a vibrator?
No, but my Cody and I shared a look, and I was like, dude,
bro.
And I immediately I was like, that might be a bit. I'm like, that might be a bit, because we both laughed. They're like, what? That's crazy.
That's so.
Your dad asked who's my favorite comedian of all time and why. Louis C.K. Louis C.K. to me, huh?
No, that's not the big fat dude, is it? Fat. No, I don't know Louis C.K. Google real quick. Go ahead.
Oh, Louis C.K. to me is the best because he's got perfect joke structure, but he disguises it in a conversational manner better than anybody I've ever seen. And this is where like kind of being a good actor can go a long way for you. Like Louis is a good actor, and his ability to make you think that he's saying this for the first time is so strong. And he's able to do that just by the way he talks. He talks the way, you do in conversation. You kind of trip over words. You start sentences. You don't finish them. You kind of, so he's saying it like we would be talking like this, but he knows every single beat. And his ability, I mean, number one, his premises and his bits are just, they're great. They're great bits, number one. But his ability to take you along and kind of disguise the punchlines, they're not delivered like like punchlines. You just think you're listening to a guy talk, and that's the art. That's to me the truest art of stand-up is like you are just. It seems like you're just listening to this guy talk, and that, stand up for what it is right now. Like when it first back in the old days, stand up was You ever notice how but now I think the most important thing in comedy, in terms of like what I think an audience wants, is authenticity. They want to know. They want you on stage.
Relate.
They don't want like some kind of fake propped up thing. That's why podcasts are so big, because they feel like they're just listening to you. There's so many people that come to comic. There's comics that have blown up from podcasts, and then the people that have come to their shows are not even necessarily comedy fans; they're podcast fans, and then they end up just liking the comic. I mean, that's So yeah, favorite, and then Bill Burr is probably a close.
What do you think about these? I see them on Instagram. Don't really know what they're called. It's like battle roasting, where they just fucking make fun of each other.
Roast battle,
dude. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's I appreciate it for what it is. I don't do it, and I won't do it. It's a really good exercise in joke writing, but I also think it's a lot of time spent on something that I can never use again, and I can't really afford to. I don't want to waste time writing jokes about somebody that it's a thing. It's a thing in the moment, and there's a lot of times like the stuff that they're saying about the person. It's not true. You're just trying to kind of like insult them, and there's very clever ways to insult them. I mean, like I watched the roast to Tom Brady. I thought it was great, and like Nikki Glaser killed. Like there's great roast comics. She crushed. There's great roast comics.
She went hard. She went real hard.
Yeah, and I have so much respect for people that can do that. It's just not what I do. I almost feel like it's like another part of the brain. It's like a shift in the way you think about.
But they'll have a lot of writers write for them for those, right? Maybe not the comics, like the full-time comics.
Oh,
but like
yes.
The other guys, they didn't write like
Robert Kraft is not writing roast jokes. Bill Belichick is not like
dude,
coming up with pedo jokes for
I thought what do you think about what's it? Kill Tony. 60 seconds, right?
Yeah, I have mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings about that show. I know you like it.
I do. Not all of them, dude. Some of them, I think the guy that fucking walks around like a crab, I don't think his shit's funny. I watch all of them.
Casey Rocket.
Yeah, with the curly hair. There's some of them that I laugh at, and then I watch it again and don't laugh.
I have mixed opinions about the show in general because I think it's very. I mean, I would do it if I was. Let me start by saying I would do it if I was asked.
Ooh, but hold on. Restart to explain. All I know is the podcast, is the Instagram scrolling, and I watch 30 to 60 seconds.
What Kill Tony is.
Explain.
So Kill Tony is a live podcast show hosted by Tony Hinchcliffe. He usually has on guest comedians, and a bunch of local comics usually will put their name into a hat to be drawn live on the show. And then if their name is drawn, they come up on stage and they do 60 seconds of material. And then depending on how it goes, they will, they talk to you afterwards, good or bad. They will talk to you afterwards. A lot of people bomb and they just rip you to shreds, or you're good. And then they just talk to you, get to know you or whatever. And there's people that have blown up from this show. My problem with it is that I think it caters to a very specific type of comic. And I also think that the audience that goes to those shows and that are fans of those shows typically like a specific style of comedy. Like if you think about the people that have gone viral from that show, it's usually something extremely irreverent or weird or slightly, it's just usually saying something shocking that you're not supposed to say. And I'm generalizing here. There's some people that this doesn't apply to. But so there's a guy, oh God, what's his name? Not Casey Rockets. The black dude who always wears the white t-shirt.
One who likes rocks?
Exactly. The whole reason he blew up is because after his set, they were like, what else should we, what else should we know about you? And he goes, I'm not retarded, but I like rocks. And
that's it. That's all he said.
It showed Tom Segura and Joe Rogan dying laughing. and then he had rocks in his pocket. And that clip went extremely viral, and he blew up from that. Hans Kim, who I know, went down
Really?
there. I started with him.
Yeah.
Hans Kim, I know, he went up, and a lot of his jokes are kind of racist. And so,
dude, I listened to one before the show. He was like, list your least favorite races.
Yeah, your least favorite races. It's like, that's the type of stuff that the internet loves, and it goes, it goes viral. You have Casey Rocket, who's extremely weird and different. There was a guy who was on recently, I guess, who I've been seeing a lot of clips of. He had a good joke. He was like, I've been watching that show, My 600-Pound Life, and the lady, before she got on the scale, she took off her shoes, and his delivery was great, and that got a good laugh. I have no problems with that. But like, to me, that's, kind of a punchy joke. Like, that's the type of stuff that works on there. I would love to see how like a Nate Bargatze does on that show, or like a Mulaney, like, just to go out and make an impression in the first 60 seconds. Even Bill Burr, when he was a host or a guest judge on that show, he's like, this whole format is bullshit. Like, to be funny immediately in 60 seconds, he's like, you're setting them up for failure, which it's kind of correct. And then you just trash them. I had a buddy, I'm not going to say his name. You could look it up if you want. He went down recently. He's, guy from New York. He went up, didn't have a good set at all. He bombed, and they kept him on stage for like 11 minutes and just eviscerated him.
Oh.
And then they were like, tell us your best joke. And he's live. He's in front of a giant crowd. He's like, all right, no matter what he says at this point, they're going to make fun of him. They're going to hate him. So he tells his best joke, bombs. They're like, they go in on him for another, and then they go, tell me your second favorite joke. Does it? But, and so at this point, I'm like, this is entertaining I think this is catering to just the bottom of the barrel, lowest, the people that write comments on Instagram and like, just that are, they want someone to fucking crash and burn.
Yeah.
And I don't want to consume that. That's not what I want to watch. It's not the best way that I like to consume stand-up. So I think it's important. I think it's good that the show exists. I think it gives a great opportunity for comics to go up and be seen and tell a joke. Doesn't mean they're gonna pop, but I think it's a great show. I'm glad it exists. It's not my favorite thing, but it doesn't have to be.
All right, well, we're gonna fly out next week, and you're gonna be on it. No, I'm kidding.
I would, like I said, I would 100% do it. And I would, if I had 60 seconds, I would go in and I'd be like, what is the most offensive, just shocking joke that I have that I could, All
right, everybody, for the first time ever on Kill Tony, Tayler Yarish. All right, Tayler, see what you got.
To do it. I don't know if it's 60 seconds, but I have a joke I've been working on that's been getting a big pop about how my ex is a redhead. And people would always come up to her and be like, oh, it was the carpet match the drapes. But she's got a real fire crotch. And I'm like, that's messed up. We don't do that with anybody else. Like, if you're a brunette, no one walks up to you like, brunette, bet you got a nice mud snatch. Like, nobody, and then, or if you're a blonde, nobody's like, hey, you dumb bitch. Like, nobody says, anything like. Now that's a small joke that comes after a lot of other jokes that I make about hair, so it makes more sense in a longer set. But I think it's stuff like that
that would get the start.
Yeah, it's like he called her a dumb bitch. But,
yeah. So I'll see on Instagram sometimes it'll be Rogan and he's just not laughing at all, and then he laughs.
He's almost like studying.
Yeah, like he's spaced out almost, or like he's really thinking about that UFC fight or something else. And then he tunes
He's
back
like a
in and laughs.
big-
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rogan's probably one of the most important figures in comedy right
Mhm.
now. That's very different than saying I think he's the most important comedian, the best comedian. Not saying that, but in terms of like what he means to comedy, I think it's crazy to say otherwise. But
Platform-wise, his
I don't know.
platform is
Yeah, but when he has comics on the show, it's like typically I'm only watch if I find the comic funny. I don't think he's the best at riffing. And if he ever sees this, I'm just lying right now for comedic effect.
he's going to see this because I'm filming him, Cam Haines,
Come
and
on, man.
Trey Newcomb on an elk hunt this year.
Are you?
No, I'm kidding. But when I do,
Oh,
I'll
man.
go back to this and show him this. And
Have
be
me on
like,
your show. Come on. We look the same.
"You look the same." Dude. All right. So do you act any? All right, act. Do you do any more productions where you memorize scripts and not do a stand up bit? More of a
No, I
Okay.
would like I would film. I filmed like sketches with people that they want to put me in a
Yeah.
sketch or something like that. I'll do that, but I'm not currently like auditioning for
No.
plays or anything like that. Like any I couldn't do even if I got cast in a play. Like if I had to take that time off stand up, dude, if I take like 4 days off stand up, I feel it the next time I'm on stage.
Confidence wise, flow wise.
Just timing. There's a sharpness that you just lose a little bit. Yeah. So, but I mean, acting, I'll probably get to a point. I probably should be auditioning for more. I just don't. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, laziness, whatever. I don't spend my time. I don't have access, I think, to the things that I would want to audition for. The stuff that's on like a general castings list. Like I don't want to go and audition to be in a fucking Tide Pod commercial. I don't give a fuck. Even if it, I get it, it pays. But I mean, I help my friend film like auditions on the road, and used to help my ex film a bunch of like self tapes and stuff. And I can't fucking stand it. The business side of I love acting, but I just hate the whole like pick me energy of it. It's just yeah. I think though I had like zero success when I was auditioning in the city and trying to be an actor. I think it's because I care too much, where I bet if I audition now, I don't give a fuck so much. I think it would probably help in my favor, because that's what they want. If they're sick people, that's what they want. If you just didn't give a shit, like, ooh, who's he?
How is that acting scene, going from that, making the transition to full-time, comic and doing full-time stand-up? How has that been? Is that been kind of easy because you were not easy, but doing the acting first? Did that help you transition to understand a little bit how it works?
I mean, having an acting background definitely helped me start. It helped me when I was starting stand-up, because I was already comfortable on stage. I was already comfortable performing to silence, and there was a lot of it. So when I was bombing, I'm like, oh, I'm doing a comedic monologue. That's what it felt like. I think I have probably a better ability to, if there's like a bit where I'm kind of doing a character, or, I'm trying to sell an emotion, or like if there's something that needs a little bit of acting in a joke, I'm able to do that better than people who don't have an acting background.
To the what's it? Whose line is it anyway? The not stand the improv. Yeah, you do a lot of that.
I mean, I guess you could call it improv when I go up and I don't have a clear idea of what I'm gonna say. I'm just talking something out, I do that sometimes, but that's not even really improv. Improv is like, give me
Hey,
a
give me this topic.
location, give me a scenario, and then we're like, oh, I have a sword.
There's these two kids. There's these two kids that do a podcast, and I think it's hilarious the skits they do. They're
What you're talking about.
off the wall skits. They're like, and you're a middle-aged man who just came back from a flat tire at Jiffy Lube, and they put the wrong oil in your vehicle. Like the most detailed skit.
That's funny.
And it's so funny. I think
Yeah.
they're hilarious. But
Yeah,
hey, you got to
and
get ready to roll at 9, right?
Yeah, I got a little more. I got a couple more minutes. But
Well, dude.
whatever.
All right. Before we do end up wrapping up, I have one big question that I do want to ask you. Like, what is next? What are your upcoming tours? And what are you excited about? You coming to Maryland at all? Talk to us and make sure we promote that.
Yeah, I'm. When is it? Let me pull up my calendar here. Next, I'm next weekend. I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Doing the Comedy Catch. If anybody's listening from Chattanooga, and then the weekend after that, I'm in Baltimore. The 31st,
Baltimore. That's
the
where
31st.
I'm at.
Hey, that's where you're at. The 31st and the 1st, I'm featuring for a guy named Ronan Hirschberg, a New York guy, very funny. But yeah, honestly, the thing I'm trying to do right now is get a really good 10 minutes on tape that I can submit to try and get. Do you know what don't tell comedy is?
No, can we talk about it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
we
Yeah.
can't tell.
No, well, it's that's the name. So it started as this like group that ran these sort of almost like a speakeasy comedy show where there'd be like, hey, there's a comedy show in Williamsburg, and when you buy, you don't get the location until you buy a ticket, and then they send you the address. It was a very like hip, secretive thing, and it just blew up. And now they have don't tell shows all over the country, and they've blown up so much where they started to like put a lot of production value behind their shows, and on certain shows they basically film the show like it's a special, and then they put it on their YouTube, which has a really good following. And so there's people that have blown up. You know the guy Ralph Barbosa?
Nope.
He's like a
maybe I do, and I just recognize his face.
He blew up from his don't tell set, even though it was it's a 12-minute set. He blew up online from it. Got a couple million videos or views or whatever. They don't all do that. Sometimes they get like 45K and that's it. See you later.
Images.
But I'm gonna try and submit to get one of those because it's a good platform. You don't have to be clean, and there's a lot of the people that follow that. So I'm gonna try to
clean.
do that.
You mean drugs? You mean what's clean?
You don't have
sexual
to be
transmitted diseases or what?
clean material.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what you meant, dude.
Yeah. They before they have you on the show, they STD
check you.
test you. That's
You got to be clean, COVID free, STD free, herpes free.
Yeah. They
no cursing.
I mean, typically everybody has a different sort of definition of clean, but typically it's like, you're not cursing and you're not, talking about your mother's cunt or something like that.
Yeah. Dude, know what's crazy lately? 98 Rock morning show. I'm going to go on the record by saying I love listening to the stuff they talk about. Absolutely. But some of the stuff they say and talk about, you can't play in the grocery store radio.
Oh, are they trying to go like an early Howard Stern type of?
Yes, and then they're also trying to plug some of that grooming wokeness into it too, here and there. But they still have one or two of the guys that'll rebuttal them. But dude, some of it is like off the wall, where it's like, damn, dude, I would not listen to this with my kid in the car.
Well, it's a struggling, dying art form, so they're holding on for dear life. So
yeah, I get it.
Probably just
I mean, people can do this. We're sitting here talking for an hour.
Yeah, we're doing your fucking job, asshole.
Spiegel.
This is easy. Look, I got a fucking microphone. Hey, fucking everybody can fucking do it.
Check out the Facebook.
Welcome to 98 Rock. We got Phil Gibbons here on the horn. It's like
That's what he sounds like.
That's how they all sound.
Dude, you know
That's
who
how
I
they all
can't stand the voice of? The dude on 104.3. Kane. Not Kane anymore.
I don't
John.
know. That's how you know you've been in a town too long, when you know the guys by like first names. Oh, you know John,
Yeah, right.
on
I know your voice.
703 point.
But you know what's absolutely crazy? I never followed 98 Right guys on Instagram until recently.
Yeah.
Putting the picture of what I thought they looked like in my head over the years.
Face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. It's like, fuck, dude. That's not what I thought Santa looked like.
To me, radio
Yeah.
guys are like, it's the saddest form of celebrity. It's such a sad localized celebrity, because like the only time they ever get their due is when there's like some outdoor function and they have a fucking tent set up that says 98 Rock.
Oh,
And
we're pieing them in the face
it.
today.
Yeah,
you
they're
gotta
standing in front of it, acting like they're a big shot, so some asshole can walk up and spin a wheel and they can give them Beyonce tickets or whatever. I mean, it's like, what is it?
Evan wins tickets once a month.
I know, dude. Every other day I see him on Facebook. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to the fucking, Tyler
Yeah,
Childers
you think
show."
they block his ass by now and be like, don't answer this phone number anymore.
You want to know why he wins? Because he's one of like 4 people
5.
calling in. Because nobody, that whole thing of like,
is it?
Oh,
fake?
you got to be the 98th caller. 98 motherfucking people aren't calling into that shit.
Not
It's
a chance.
like 7. They're just like, they're talking about whatever, and then they're like, "Oh
Do you
yeah,
think-
you're the 98th caller."
Do you think any of these shows, even podcasts, like we could do it? We could be like, hey, guys, anyone who wants to call in, we're going to have stuff to talk about. We have someone online that's already going to call and ask us a crazy question. Do you think Theo Von's is set up like that? Because some of his questions are fucking wild.
I think sometimes what happens is when they call in, it goes to somebody else first, and they kind of field. They sometimes, because that's the same way with like when it's like write in or like email into the show. The producer's combing through, and it's like, this is going to be good fodder, and they do that. So it might be something like that where it's like, all right, what's your situation? They tell them that might be good. All right, hold on the line, and then they're like, hey, we got somebody. All right, yeah, we got a guy. And then the guy goes in. He's like, "What's up, man? You got fucking, yeah."
My sister's got a raccoon living in her bathroom and won't shower anymore.
Damn, man, I grew up with a raccoon, man. I had a fucking.
Did you have a sister though?
What?
I had a sister. I had a sister and a raccoon.
Damn, I had a sister and a raccoon, man. One time I walked in on them, dude, man. I didn't know what was going on, man, but that was what we did, That's the show.
You ever hear Shane Gillis? He tried. I think he's talking to Theo or one of those guys that are stressed about a podcast, and it's like the pre-recording, and he goes, "Do you realize how social media looks at us? We could sit on here and talk about fucking nothing, farts and poop, and people are going to think we're geniuses."
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
That's when you know, and that's how strong a podcast fan base is.
Yeah,
that's when they are invested in 100%. You. Those people, when they come to see your show, they're coming to see you. And that's why these people are fucking making bank.
Did you listen to Rogan and Tucker Carlson recently?
I think I listened to a little bit of it.
He's got no TV and no internet and no computer and no home phone.
Yeah, that's tough. I used to babysit in college, which is I feel like I was the last guy who was able to be a babysitter. I feel like that doesn't exist anymore. But I babysat for this family who they did not have a television in their house, and their kids were weird as fuck. The
really?
Kids were Amish? They weren't Amish. They just didn't have They didn't have like electronics. I mean, the kids were wicked smart. They were like reading books and they were into science and stuff. It's great, but you try to have a conversation with them and they can't hold eye contact. I mean, they don't know what's going on in the world. But what do I know? Take parenting advice from me,
dude. I got a 2.5-year-old now.
That's fucking crazy.
You ain't
That's
kidding,
bananas.
dude. Nuts.
That's bananas.
Crazy. I'm gonna bring her to your
mean,
show, and she's gonna heckle you,
That would be.
and you're just gonna talk shit.
Yeah,
No, I
I
wouldn't
just
do
dunk on your daughter. Just like, shut the fuck
Yeah.
up.
Your father's a fucking loser. I'll be like, I didn't say it. She did. Make fun of her. Make fun of her.
Oh man, that's fucking crazy.
So you're down here in Baltimore, June,
End of the month.
End of the month weekend.
31st and the 1st. Yeah, that weekend. I'm at the Port Comedy Club in Fells Point. Come on out, folks.
Point Comedy Club, Fells Point, this
The
weekend.
Port. The Port.
Not this weekend. The Port.
The Port Comedy Club, the weekend of the 31st, featuring for Ronan Hirschberg. Everything is on TaylerYarish.com.
Taylor Yarish.
TaylerYarishComedy.com. God, I'm the worst fucking promoter. Follow me
Just fucking promote that on your.
Follow me right there. And then here,
Taylor
I have
Comedy.
These fucking business cards I paid $50 for. Yeah, right there. TaylerYarishComedy.com.
I'll make it big. Scan that shit.
Follow me on Instagram. Follow me home. I don't give a fuck. Just follow me.
Follow me home. I don't give a fuck. I want someone to follow me.
Just for the love of Christ, follow me.
Funny. I go around and go speeding just so police officers will follow me.
Well, that sounds like a crime, but
yeah, that's a crime. Dude, I got hit today. Did you see my story?
No.
My day started out. Let me paint you this picture.
All right.
I'm doing social media management for a local company, right? So managing the Google page, and I post on Google last night a picture of the front of a house that looks beautiful, and the caption says, "We love seeing our projects bloom this time of year. Does the front of your house need some color? Contact." This morning we woke up to emails that's racist, and we were flagged. That's how my morning started. So that was at 6 o'clock. So then we left, or I left with my dog, and we go to the park to go run around. And driving on the back road, I get hit by a Verizon truck on my mirror. We just boom, smack mirrors. And I stop. He stops. We're on a backcountry road. Reverse. He's like, "Man, what happened?" It's on my story. I go, You were on your phone. I was watching you." He goes, Yeah, I was.
Well, at least he admitted it. What happened?
Yeah. Dude,
you weren't paying attention.
My reaction
that probably was a contributing factor.
That was it. You caught that too?
Yeah.
My reaction, I'm driving, mirror, smack. I go, "Bro," and just stop and reverse. Yeah.
You're like, he's gonna hit me, isn't he? Yeah, he's gonna hit me.
I was over. I couldn't do nothing. Yeah, I was like, "Oh, he's got me. Got me.
Yeah.
Got me." Yep. Happened so quick, so loud. He already went. I ordered I called the dealership. They ordered the part, sent me the PDF of the invoice, emailed it or texted it to him. He called the dealership. They wouldn't take payment over the phone, so he drove there and made payment by 11 o'clock this morning. This happened at 7:20.
Wow.
Dude I had all his information. I wasn't worried. I was like, I don't care if you go through insurance or if your fucking grandma pays for it. I don't care. I just need a new mirror.
Yeah.
He was like, "I'll take care of it. Don't worry." I'm like, I'm not worried.
Yeah.
You're worried. You need to worry, not me.
Yeah.
I got you on camera trying.
At least you took care of it.
Yeah. And he was like, "Thanks for being cool." I'm like, dude, that's material. You know how many things are in the world that you should really be mad at?
If only people had that outlook, Phil.
What's the wildest thing you've seen on the subway recently?
Wildest thing I've seen on the subway. I mean, a guy jerking off is a classic.
What?
It's always a classic.
Do you pepper spray them? Do you leave them alone? Do you throw darts? What do you do?
No, I typically jerk off too and try to race. No, I mean you don't look at you just don't look at him. I mean, luckily I'm not. He's
next time make full blown eye contact, dude. I want you to go in there with your camera and and
Yeah, they're
stare
typically
at
not
him?
looking at me. They're like,
What do they look at? Other people?
probably a lady.
This is
Unfortunately,
serious. Do people
Oh
fight them?
yeah. No, they just kind of they get up and go to another car. Typically, it
This
doesn't
is
happen
typical.
a lot. No, it doesn't happen like a ton. It's more like it's like a rare. It's like an infinity stone. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I got
Like,
I
oh, you
got
found
one.
the jerker.
Yeah, yeah. So anything with a
Nudity.
guy with a homeless guy, it's gonna be a good time. But yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of crazy shit. There has just been an uptick of people like pushing people into the tracks or like just socking people in the face for no apparent
Oh, you
reason.
can't carry
Or
guns
like,
up there, can you?
no, but I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6,
That's the
if you
best
know what I
thing. You
mean.
know
No,
what I mean? Hey,
no, I
so I
don't have a
got
gun.
something. You know what I do for work? Check this out. It's prop money.
Ooh,
Let's
that's
get it
nice.
to the camera.
That looks pretty. I mean, from where I'm sitting, that looks pretty real.
I mean, from where I'm sitting, it looks real too until you read it and it says motion pictures only. Props we trust, not counterfeit. Motion
So you
picture
do that
money.
just in case somebody wants to rob you?
No, I do it because we were going to shred money for a video.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But then I keep some in my truck. So if them squeegee boys ever come around and clean my windows here, fucking get the fuck out of here. No.
Well, you need to get some like fake 5s then. He's not going to believe 100. That's crazy.
I got 50s. What do you want? 20s? I got 20s too.
Oh, he's
They're
got
fake.
a whole bankroll. That's hysterical.
Dude,
Dude,
they
a guy
look so
split me last night. I was hosting at New York Comedy Club. I was getting off stage. A guy like palmed me and I could feel it was cash. And I was like, thank you very much. I appreciate that. He was trying to tip me. And I look, $100 bill.
damn, real or fake?
Real. Just slid me
Oh,
100.
shit.
I was like, I didn't give you a good enough thank you.
Damn. Tell me
Yeah.
there's better jokes. There's better jokes. You got
I
more
was
of these.
yeah.
Well, Benjamin likes jokes, huh?
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's pretty rare.
Damn. Do you like hosting more or headlining more? Headlining.
Headlining is its own
Different.
kind of thing. But I'd rather just do a set. Because hosting is a job. It's a job. Because you have a job to set up the rest of the comics on the show to make sure they have a good set. That's your
set
job.
up that field goal. You're getting them right at the
Yeah.
last yard line.
Yeah. So you want to get the audience,
You warming them up.
get them used to hearing jokes, get to, don't be too, you can't be too dirty or too, cussing off the top
Good.
because now you've blown that bar already and nobody else can get there. So you kind of have to just get them warmed up and ready to have a good show, which is not as fun as getting it to go up. And then there's jokes that I just will never say when I'm hosting. Because
a set is 12 to 15 minutes.
When I'm hosting, it's 15.
When you're hosting, it's 15. What about when you're?
I typically only host at New York Comedy Club, and New York Comedy Club is 15 minutes.
Okay.
Where's
your favorite place that you've ever done a show at? And then what's your worst place you've ever done a show at? Why? Was it too bright? Was it too loud? Was it your fucking just kitchen you could hold here?
My favorite place I've ever done a show. God, I'm trying to think. That's tough. It's, I guess, probably just whatever the biggest show. I did a couple of weeks ago. I did the Albany Funny Bone, which.
Here's your favorite show.
It's not it wasn't my favorite show, I would say, but like it was like a sold out couple hundred people.
Damn.
That was like a lot. That was a lot of fun. But I'd say for the places that I perform most regularly, the Gramercy location of New York Comedy Club is the best. It's like seats like 115. It's tight. It's packed in there. It's like a kill box. Low ceilings. It's perfect for comedy. The worst place to perform is just the opposite of everything that's worse. That's the worst thing for COVID is the best thing for comedy. Tight spaces, close together, low ceilings, like, yeah, bad shows are in fucking like breweries, fucking high ceilings, the sound just escapes outside. Probably the worst shows I've ever done were park shows during COVID. 100%.
Because attention is not direct. You're
You're outside in the middle of the day in
with
Sheep's
animals.
Meadow Park in Central Park doing stand up to 12 people on like a Fisher Price microphone that somebody brought, and then behind you is people playing frisbee and spike ball, just having the most fun, and you're supposed to keep this audience captivated. There's the sound just immediately escapes. You can't hear them laugh. So the whole thing is just, it's a shit show. I'll send you some videos sometimes. I keep them on my phone just to remember. But
all right, what last question? You've been at this for a while. You got lots of words of wisdom. Things you've done well, things you haven't done well, why you've done them, why you haven't done them. What's some advice you'd give to someone? Looking back at you, 2011, right out of P Mill. What would you say to someone nowadays that's graduating, wants to pursue and follow your steps?
That wants to do comedy?
Yeah.
If they are
some sort of production.
Well, parents aren't going to like this. If you 100% know which you can't know for sure, but if you want to do comedy, the earlier you start, the better. So don't go to college.
Yeah.
Don't go to college.
Elon Musk says it.
Because, I wish that I started earlier than I did, because it takes so long to get good. So if I started when I was, 18, if I had 8 years of comedy and then I was like 25 or something like that, if I started right after high school, like you already have such a leg up. Because it is it's a younger person's game, so I would say start as quickly as possible. Do it just as for comedy, there's not a ton of advice other than just write a lot, get on stage a lot, because you're going to figure out the same shit that everybody else figures out. And it's the advice that I got when I started, and I hated hearing it. And it's the advice that I have to give to comics who are just starting. And I know they don't want to hear it because everybody wants like some golden ticket. Like, this is what you have to do. But literally, like, I slaved away in the basements of bars doing shitty open mics a few times a night for years, just sucking, trying to get better. And you kind of just grow a thicker skin. You realize what works, what doesn't work, what's hacked, what's been done a gazillion times. And I think what's a part of becoming a good comic is just getting exposed and being in every situation possible. There's not a lot of there's less situations you could put me in now as a comic that I haven't seen before that are going to be, scary to me, that I'm going to be nervous about. Everyone always asks, do you get nervous? No, I don't get nervous because I've done this 1,000 times. Yeah. So when I first started, I was only doing open mics. So then it's like, it's scary to perform in front of real people. It's, to go up on a big show, to do this. Like the first time I had to follow somebody who was killing, like truly shaking the room, destroying, and then you have to go up after them. That's terror. It's still not like, it's still like, here we fucking go.
I remember you told me that one recently.
What?
The big name guy that you had to go after? That everyone was there to see him?
Oh, Schultz?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that it? Yeah, dude, you go up after that. It's like, what the
fuck? Well,
everyone dares to see that person.
That was particularly hard because everyone was there to see him, and I was doing checks, which is the worst spot on the show. It's when everybody in the audience gets their bill at the same time, and you immediately lose
attention.
70% of the audience, because now everyone's like, did you get the Bud Lights? I didn't get the, and you're up there.
Trying.
And they've already seen their king, so they don't care. So that is more, you're not even doing comedy. You're just like lion taming at that point. But like if you're on a regular show and you got to follow, I could throw out names. You're not going to know these guys because they're not big, but they're like local comics who just consistently just murder. Like you got to know how to follow that. And you don't when you first start. And there's nobody that can tell you how to do that. You just have to go up there and have it not work a million times. I used to follow this guy, Mike Britt, who I see a lot now at New York Comedy Club. When I used to like help seat the show at Greenwich Village Comedy Club on the weekends, like a few years ago. And I would do like an 8 o'clock, a 10 o'clock, and a midnight show. And I would go towards the end on all those shows. And I would be performing at like fucking 1:30 in the morning, doing 5 minutes to people that are just fucking drunk. They're tired. They came in drunk, so now they're just fucking half asleep. And I go up there and I just eat the fattest dick. And then I'd be like, oh, this crowd sucks. There's nothing. And then Mike Britt would go up and close the show and just destroy. And I couldn't understand how it was possible. I don't understand. What is he doing? And you just learn by fucking, what is he doing? Like, watch it. Like, it's a fucking art form. You gotta study this shit, So, it just takes fucking time, but stick with it. And there's going to be parts where you feel like you're on top of the world. And then a week later, you're going to be like, what the fuck am I doing? But if you record every set that you do and every, videotape as much as you can, every once in a while, just look at your shit that you were doing 6 months ago and you'll realize you keep improving. As long as you're doing that, then you're on the right track. Look at me. I should give a fucking commencement speech or something.
You should. Patterson Mill, you're coming back.
Hook it up.
We'll hook it up, dude. Start a comedy club. You remember they used to do the variety show at John Carroll? They used to do the variety comedy show, and it was the most vulgar comedy you would ever think out of a high school ever.
If I start running a comedy show at Patterson Mill, I'm gonna quit. I will quit comedy.
Oh, dude, no. There's furries in there that you can probably joke on.
I'll do a one-off. They pay me. Follow me here.
Dude, we could just do one at my house.
Yeah.
We could pretend it's P Mills Comedy Club. Dude, you remember Coach Yarish used to always do the FCA and Young Life? That was huge. Yeah. They got to have – there's no comedy club in Harford County.
Yeah, but it's hard to do comedy in front of high schoolers. And
is it, though?
That's it.
They think fucking shit's funny?
If I'm allowed to say whatever I'm allowed to say, whatever I want, that's fine. But most
of the time, go do it in high school. Meet at the garage, or I don't know what places are. Paul's.
Well, let's see if the parents sign the waiver, and then I'll be there.
Oh, we'll get you here. All right, man. I'll be at your show here for sure. I got a fishing tournament June 1st to film, but the 31st night I'm there.
Hell yeah, come on out. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course, dude. Have a good night, and talk to you later.
All right, brother. See ya.
All right, guys. That was Tayler Yarish. Follow him on all social medias. That's Tayler Comedy. Check him out on his website, and reach out. Any questions you have about stand-up comedy, and when he's in town in Maryland, if you want to come to the show with me, reach out to me as well. It's going to be a good one. See ya. Thanks.